Hello and welcome to the Success and Fulfillment Talk, the space where we explore what it really takes to achieve real success, not just the titles and results, but also purpose, balance, and fulfillment along the way. I'm your host, Ramiro. Over the last 20 years, I've been a founder, CEO, strategist, and a coach working with leaders and teams, helping them navigate complexity, make impactful decisions, and build lives and businesses that truly matter. Today, I'm thrilled to have Alan Wright, CEO of the West London Chambers of Commerce. Alan has been leading, connecting, and supporting business growth in one of the most dynamic regions of the UK and the world, and brings a wealth of experience about leadership from multiple perspectives. Alan, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me to say a few words on your platform. Thank you, Ramiro.
Brilliant. Alan, I'd love to start with a bit of your journey. Leadership is shaped over time. Now, looking back, when were you first drawn into leadership? Was it a defining moment?
I don't think it was really a defining moment. I think suddenly you feel that you're making a direction, you're creating and doing something, and suddenly you'll look behind you and you'll realise people are following you. I've not necessarily gone out of my way to say, follow me, we're going this way. But if you're doing something different, you're trailblazing in an interesting way, you're trying to build up a business, you suddenly look around you and there's not just one of you, there's a few of you who are all beavering away to try and achieve the same goal.
Yes. Well, that's very interesting. And as along the way, has your view of what leadership is changed over the years?
I think probably the defining moment of where that changed was becoming a dad. And you suddenly realise to your own children, you are the leader with your wife about what their lives and careers are going to do. And you suddenly realise that in a bigger world, you've got much more responsibilities around you than just you yourself.
That's really interesting because part of what I coach is about leadership not being just professional. It touches every part of our lives. How do you see the connection between your professional goals and your personal sense of purpose and fulfillment?
I'm a big believer in family works. I believe that your family is at home, but your family is also at work. And the people that you do business with are not just strange people. They are your bigger, greater community and family. And when I've had people visit me from overseas and get to know them and build relationships, I do that with all of my family in tow as well. They all know my wife, my children, and whenever they call or visit, they all get involved with all of my family.
That's also really interesting because at times we tend to silo things a little bit between what's work, what's life, and then trying to find a balance between both. But these days, lots of people talk about just actually blending things together in like a big whole thing. Also, in your experience dealing with small business owners and corporates on a daily basis, I'm sure you noticed some differences when it comes to leadership. Care to elaborate a little bit on that?
I think big corporates are very corporately structured. They have very corporate rules, branding guidelines, marketing departments that want them positioned and viewed in a very specific way. And you have a whole team around you making sure that you conform with all of those. Suddenly, when you're an SME and you've started up your own business and you are going into a dynamic where you need to grow, then you've lost all of that, but you're creating your own identity. And that's the key thing about getting that own identity within what you're doing. And it's very difficult to get the balance right. One minute you're part of a big team and a big entity, and the next minute there's one of you. And then you employ a few people and you've got your own little team. But they're all looking at you to see how you can do things.
And that's also really interesting because we also talk a lot about managers by accident and leaders by accident in the sense that, well, as you were saying, when you first start sharing about your own journey, not all of us one day necessarily decide, well, I'm going to be a leader. All of a sudden it happens. How do you see uh, business leaders adapting along the journey of actually becoming and having to be leading people?
I think when you're a small company or you're part of a big conglomerate, the first thing you'll do when you go into a meeting with somebody is talk a bit about who you are, what you've done, and what's got you to be in that position of talking to the next person in front of you. And you're not there trying to justify your existence, but you're trying to say, you're talking to me because of, and this is how you should view me, and it gives you a bit more gravitas, and you're not just there saying, I'm the man from the big brand, I'm the man from Del Monte. In this instance, when you're a small business, I am Alan Rides from West London Chambers. You can Google me if you want, you can look me up on LinkedIn, but I'll tell you a bit more directly about my personal background, the reason why I'm here today, a bit about the recognitions that I've had, the Queen's Award for Exporting, the award from Department for Business and Trade of giving the best support for export in the UK. I'll talk a bit about recognition from big brands and things that I do, and you can be part of that journey. I'm happy to help you.
You do make it sound really personal, and I know because I've seen you connecting with people. I see how you and I connect, and you make it really personal. What's your experience of leading through connection yourself? And what's the effect of having that approach to people on the people that you lead, but also business partners, clients, the members of the chamber? How effective is that approach?
Well, people buy into people. Unless you're a big organization, then they're buying into the brand. But at a Chamber of Commerce, 20% of our membership level, those are small businesses, and you're buying into them personally. You're taking on a payment risk with them personally. You're taking on to a reputational risk to do business with them personally. And they are with us. When they join a Chamber of Commerce, they're buying into what we do as a Chamber of Commerce as well. And by association, you are part of this journey that we're all trying to go on. And as the old saying goes, I've got to get the words right now. If you go alone, you can go fast. If you go together, you can go a long way.
Really, really interesting, and I think that's a great way to summarize what your leadership and what you are all about. Um, you did
I've always
mention
been a we man, not an I man.
you're mentioning the chambers of commerce, the West London Chambers of Commerce, and since you came on board, what was the evolution? How many members were there when you first started your role as a CEO?
So when I took over as the CEO from the outgoing chief executive, we had evolved from being we'd evolved into being a limited company. We had employed some staff, and we were had membership of 300 members, and did things in Hounslow alone. since 2018 to now, 7 years, we've grown our membership through COVID as well, from 300 members to 2,200 members, and have a database of 8,500 businesses in our community. So we represent now 3 boroughs in Hammersmith and Fulham, Ealing and Hounslow. We haven't gone to 3 times our size. We've gone many times more than that. We're doing things locally. We're doing things internationally. We've done so far this year 31 international trade events, including taking 3 trade missions abroad. Only 2 weeks ago I was in Atlanta with 26 businessmen and women. And next month, in November, I'll be taking a trade mission to China, to Hainan province. So we're trying to do things that are a little bit different, a little bit edgy. We try to listen to what people want and do things so that they can have the best opportunity to grow. And in terms of growth, I would say that the UK economy, we all talk about it at the moment, what's going on with it, but generally speaking, it's quite flat. The government talks about 1.5% of growth. That's not really growth in my book, but we all want growth across the whole of the UK. I think London's got a better growth dynamic than the rest of the UK, but that's maybe because I live here and want that. But UK exports have grown by 5%, and they've grown by 9% outside the EU. And the biggest single market outside the EU is the USA, where UK exports have grown by 20%. So that's the reason why we took a trade mission to Atlanta in Georgia. Everybody else goes to New York, Los Angeles. We tried to find a major US city with a difference. Atlanta's the capital of the Old South. We've taken the first British trade mission from a Chamber of Commerce to the USA since the UK signed a free trade agreement with the USA. And the results of that were outstanding. Companies were in negotiations and started talks about business upwards of $20 million a year, which could create hundreds of jobs. So we're now helping them progress that down the road into actual happening rather than nice words, and it's converting the words into deeds is the key with business, I've always found.
Brilliant. That's really impressive numbers and impressive results. And all of this growth doesn't happen without a clear vision and an effective strategy. Alan, where does the vision come from, and what role sharing that vision with your team, with the people around you, what role does it play in the success of the team and your own success?
So I've always been a big believer in you need to try and listen to what your customers or your members, in our instance, want and are looking for. And if you can listen closely enough and understand what they're looking for, you can help deliver that for them and to them. So our members want more events, they want more networking, they want to network to grow their businesses with other businesses locally in West London, and they want to grow their business internationally due to Heathrow Airport around the world. So we have lots of local events around our boroughs, and later this week on Thursday we're having our second Festival of Business in Ealing. It's at the University of West London. We've sold out all of our stands. We've got a big group of people going along to it. We've got the Secretary of State for the Treasury coming along to speak at a time when everybody wants to know what's going to happen to the UK economy and where is what's going to happen in the new budget, the second budget for our Chancellor. I don't think he's going to speak about that, but he'll tell us what's going on in the economy, and we can hear about those bits of news.
Amazing. It is really, really impressive. Let's get a little more personal now, if you don't mind, Alan. So, leadership is also about vision, strategy, growth, understanding, communicating well, but it's also very much about resilience, clarity, mental agility, and connection. So, what I call the mental edge and the mental fitness approach to being a leader. And if you ever had to lead a team or start and grow and scale a business, you know how important these things are. How do you personally maintain clarity and perspective when the pressure is high?
I suppose I've always been quite lucky that I've been a clear thinker. I've always had a calm head. When all around you is not looking so good, you need to find that clear mind and direction. I was a bit headstrong when I was younger. I wanted things done quickly. I used to shout and say, why is it taking so long? I want this quickly. I've got things that happen quickly. As you get older, you realise that the world keeps turning, and if you wait an extra couple of days to get something done, you just need to chill out about it and make sure it's done right rather than quickly and wrong. But in only 2 weeks ago, when I was travelling to Atlanta, our flight got cancelled. I realised that if we were going to get to the British Consulate General's reception the following day, we couldn't fly on the flight that Virgin Atlantic had rebooked us on 24 hours later. So we went along to their ticketing desk and had a nice conversation with the helpful but hugely pressurised people there, and said we'd like to be on a flight this afternoon to New York, and then first thing tomorrow morning fly from New York down to Atlanta, rather than fly 24 hours later from Heathrow directly to Atlanta. They catered for us, arranged the flights, we got there, and we arrived in Atlanta the next day at 10 o'clock in the morning, well in time for the reception at the British Consulate General's home. And it was a wonderful reception. People were hugely appreciative of what had been laid on for us. But if we had turned up for that a bit late on the following day, it would have been a disaster and it would have all fallen apart, and we wouldn't have had the right momentum for a highly successful visit to Atlanta. So a little bit of clear thinking, key decisions were made under a lot of pressure, with lots of people all buzzing away, chomping away in your ears about what you should do, and we came to an amicable solution.
Really interesting. Going back to your idea of how leadership and what being a leader and how to drive a team and a business can be reshaped over time. One of the key ideas behind success and fulfillment, the success and fulfillment approach, is that success without fulfillment isn't really success. How did you ever have to redefine success for yourself, perhaps shifting from more external milestones to something more meaningful?
Again, I come back to the first point. If you find out what people want and what their problem is, you can generally find a solution for them. And if the solution that you can put forward to them really does solve their issue, then they'll want to do business with you. It's really as simple as that. And that's, in a way, the definition of marketing. Identifying a need, being able to satisfy it at a profit.
You make it sound really simple, and it is, Alan. Once you think about it, it's almost a no-brainer. I truly believe that we build on our successes, and we learn, and we build on our positive experience. But also, there's lessons to be learned when things don't go as well as we planned for. What's one lesson that you've learned the hard way? Something that was, and but that you now see as essential um,
Well,
for your.
I won't give you the lesson I've learnt the hard way scenario. I'll give you another scenario, which is quite interesting in today's world. In today's world, our Chamber of Commerce isn't there to be a business and grow in its own right. Our Chamber of Commerce is there to help local businesses grow themselves. And one of the problems multiple local companies came along and said to us in 2018 was, we find it really hard to engage with Heathrow Airport. We need help. We talk to them. We're very small businesses. Nobody listens. We need a voice. So we went down and saw the purchasing director of the airport at the time and had some discussions with them. Those discussions continued and continued and continued. They went on through COVID. Now, Heathrow has set up an SME engagement vehicle that can help small companies engage with Heathrow. They give them training to show them at their academy how they can gear themselves up, how they can have a anti-slavery policy, how they can have a carbon offset scheme, how they can make sure that their products are right for what the airport needs. And they now have an SME engagement manager who we get on very well with. And these things were all born out of conversations that we could see small businesses were having with the airport and not getting anywhere. And when you're small and you shout, people find it hard to listen when they're a big company. And that's where a Chamber of Commerce can come in and lobby on their behalf for change, help deliver that change, and make a big difference to those small companies, which are now got business that's growing, properly appreciated, and Heathrow has got a lot of friends in the local community because of that structure.
Amazing. Well, congratulations, and this is a great service for small businesses in West London. Alan, I would love to carry on this conversation for all afternoon. I really cherish our regular conversations, but we're starting to wrap up now. I would love to hear your take on these final questions. What would you say to leaders or aspiring leaders listening today who might feel isolated or uncertain or doubtful of their journey?
I would say that at a good Chamber of Commerce, we are full of small businesses who have aspirations to want to do things. And this image sort of sits in my head of somebody working away, typing away, working away in a factory. And they've always had a product that they want to sell themselves. But where they work, they're surrounded by a team, and they've always had a dream that one day they want to go off and have a go at doing it themselves. So one day they hand in their notice, they go off, and they suddenly set up outside, and they decide, right, we're now going to start trying to sell this unique, very clever item, whatever it is, or service. And their little black book starts to run out of contacts, and they start to realise, oh, I don't have that much business coming in, I need to grow it a bit more. Where can I go? And they come along and they come under our Chamber of Commerce's umbrella. And when it's a rainy day, you always need to get under an umbrella. And you suddenly realise that under an umbrella, you've got quite a few other small businesses. And you can swap stories with fellow entrepreneurs who will tell you about their experiences. And you suddenly realise that you're not alone. There's a whole fraternity of people around you. And they will use different accountancy firms, different website builders, different SEO companies, different AI integrators. They trade in different parts of the UK and different countries overseas, and they all have different stories that they can tell. And if you listen to the stories and you swap stories, you learn best practice and your business can grow and thrive. And how many places are there where you can go to get all of that around you? And that's the ecosystem that Chambers of Commerce uniquely can offer in today's world.
Alan, that's amazing. And I love the metaphor, by the way, the umbrella. It is actually something, that's how it works. That's how vital it is. Alan, is it lonely at the top?
No! How can it be lonely? I operate on a flat business model. Have you come across this?
Not very common.
Okay, when you operate a flat business model, there isn't any top. There's a buck stops here when it all goes wrong. But you operate in a structure where everybody's flat. We all have responsibilities for doing our jobs. We all do things collectively and together. We all know we've got a festival of business coming up and we all need to deliver for this. We've got one person who's the lead on it and the anchor. But we're all there chipping in, getting things done. We don't have one person leading and then the next person in command and the next person in command and the next person. Those days have gone with the ark. Today's world, if you're especially in small business, is getting everybody together and all working as a team to deliver.
Really setting a great example, and it's amazing. I think it's a great way to get things done, and the results are there to prove it. Alan, thank you so much. This was a powerful conversation. I think we've touched on some truths that many leaders, small businesses and corporates will resonate with deeply. And to everyone listening, leadership isn't just about driving results. It's about clarity, courage, and, as Alan mentioned a few times, connection, both with others and with oneself. Thank you for listening.
Okay, have a great afternoon.